Cool. Yep, that's good. We can still see your Bills Mafia thing. We're good. Hey, by the way.
Oh God.
We'll pull that out in a second here. Cool. So, listen, we are testing a new technology. So please bear with us as we do this. Correct, Mindy?
Yes.
People are very friendly. People are very accepting. They know that we're testing new technologies all the time. In fact, we just spent 45 minutes trying to figure out audio and incorporating StreamYard and Zoom.
45 minutes. Yeah.
And we set that aside for another day. So, hopefully this is going out to the world. So if you haven't used this technology, we're actually on StreamYard right now, which is absolutely awesome. StreamYard, I think it's awesome. We're just getting used to it right now. But it allows us to stream to a bunch of different destinations at the same time. Now, it also theoretically allows us to incorporate Zoom into it, though we had some audio issues with that this morning. So anyway, we'll figure that out before we do our next webinar, because we'd love to start streaming a little bit more. So Today, Mindy and I are here talking about the importance of building the right community, which is a conversation we have all the time. And it's really foundational to success with influence, building an authority brand, and ultimately business development. So with that, Mindy, let's talk a little bit about it, right? So we believe that you're only as good as the community you build. We spend a lot of time building out our community on LinkedIn, and, Facebook is a little more company related for us, I suppose. We build out, we got, I don't know, over 1,000 followers on Facebook of social advisors. And obviously there's other places you can build a community, but LinkedIn for us and the huge majority of our clients is paramount to that. What does building community, Mindy, mean to you?
Well, it can mean a lot of things, but really just surrounding yourself with the right people. I'm sure everybody's heard, the old saying of you are who you associate with. So you need to associate yourself with people who ultimately believe in the same goals and support your beliefs, and are people who, your people who you want to be with, but could also help each other out.
Yeah, you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with, and I think what's that? I mean, who knows? But you're like the 5 people you're closest to, right?
Right. Yes.
So I don't know how true that is.
Oh gosh, that means I'm close to you.
I know, right? Gosh, oh my God, I don't know. That's not such a great thing. No, it's a great thing.
It is.
Before we get into the tips around building the right community, it's important that we understand why building that community is paramount. And I can tell you, with being in this industry now, serving financial industry for 20 plus years, the advances I made in my career, even when we started Social Advisors back in 2013, like our early success was so dependent upon the people that I'd already built trust with prior to starting the business. I couldn't imagine trying to go independent, trying to do something outside of the environment I was in prior, without having a foundation for making that happen.
Well, I mean, right? Even when I came on 3 years ago, I mean, that was a big part of, I guess, me just understanding the business and, what we were getting into. But a lot of it was your just personal connections, I mean, people you had made relationships with along the years, and still even to this day. I mean, a lot of clients are, they believe in what we do, but at the same time, I think they more so believe in you sometimes, because, it's the relationship you've built.
Well, that brand's been out there, my brand's been out there twice as long as Social Advisors has. And I'll tell you, even you coming from Bankside.
Yeah.
Right. You brought connections to us 2-3 years ago from Bankside that had an impact on our business development as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So listen, that's, I think so, I'm sure that, I'm sure we're preaching to the choir to some degree, people are here, we're reinforcing some of that, but I think what really matters is talking about the right community to build that's going to be different for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
right? We spend a lot of time getting very narrow on a niche. We're not the only, we're not the only people out there that are preaching to our community that getting narrow on a niche is really important. And I want to share a story about where social advisors came from and where we are today, just as an example of why that's so important. So as you well know, but a lot of people who are viewing may not know, social advisors 100% self-funded, right? October 2013. So we'll be 9 years old this fall. That's pretty awesome and incredible, frankly. And thanks to our community for helping us out with that. The intent, I was coming out of 15 years in financial services. The intent, of course, was to always build in financial services. Now, the problem is when you are self-funded, and I didn't have a lot of money in the bank. So, certainly revenue drove a lot of decision-making at that time, still does today, but it's different today, right? At that time, it was about putting food on the table and affording a car payment and making sure that we had a nice roof over our head and, taking care of family and that sort of thing, right? So our first two clients were financial advisors. I would think that our third, maybe through our 20th client, were not. Right. All of a sudden a neighbor says, "Hey, I got a restaurant. What can you do for me?" "Oh, my friend's got a bar. Hey, we got a car dealership." We've worked with, we're in Port Orange, Florida, near Palmer Chiropractic. We've worked with chiropractors over the years, right?
Yeah.
As important niche is, and as we knew that, we still got away from it, right? Because we were a revenue starved company early on, and it wasn't until middle of 2018 that I kind of put the stake in the ground and said, all right, well, we do this to do it for financial advisors, right? So we and one of the most painful days of my life, you were there for it.
Yes.
Was moving on from clients that did not fit
the mold
who we serviced.
Or
right?
niche. Yeah.
It was expensive to service, a variety.
Yeah.
Right. Now we have a more process driven, a more repeatable, a more provable process.
It's more focused. I mean, when you're a jack of all trades and can do everything, nothing, so it gives us a little more insight into the ins and outs of our niche.
So a couple of the reasons that I love going after a niche, right? The personal story, we're a much healthier company as a result of making that change. But FINRA's numbers, and I'm going back to last year, 687,000 financial advisors in this country. Now, that includes RIAs, and admittedly, I'm sure that's not practicing financial advisors, that's just registered firms, right? Incidentally, that number does decrease a little bit every year. That's a lot of competition.
Yeah.
And I think probably third most competitive service provider, service-based professional services industry in the country, behind real estate and law. But then I would argue also that you've got such a variety of attorneys out there that, maybe financial service is actually second, right? So that's a lot of competition. So when you ask the question, who do you like to work with? Mindy, what's the most
like to work with?
Who do you want to work with? What's the most common answer you get?
Pre-retirees, 55 and older,
anyone with money.
Anyone with money. Yeah. I mean, business owners.
I like I like pre-retirees and retirees, which is literally everybody.
Everybody, literally.
And then anybody with money, well, is pretty much everybody too, right?
Right.
So you expose yourself to all that competition, right? Whereas if you get narrow on who you service, you limit the competition who is also focused on that particular niche, right? The other thing that happens is there's subtleties in each and every industry, each and every position, professional target, that now you start to communicate very personally with that niche community that you're building, right? So you can say things that mean something to them that may not impact anybody else.
Yeah, right? You can speak to your audience as far as, pain points and, things along those lines.
Yeah, I love it. So really important to build community. I also like, in a digital environment, We can build influence for, as social advisors or representing our clients over thousands of people with the exact same effort that we can build influence over dozens of people. Content marketing, CRM, we've got the opportunity to reach out to a whole lot of people at the same time without any extra effort. So that's really important. So we talk a little bit about niche. When you're working with our clients, Mindy, how do you help them decide who it is that they want to service, what that particular niche is?
Well, we do it in a multitude of ways. First, I have to get to know the advisor, because people buy technically from people they like, they trust, and they have a commonality with. So once I get to know them as a person, that's what's going to make them stand out and aside from every other advisor out there. Yeah. So I try to match them up with people who have things in common. I use Sales Navigator typically with LinkedIn to match up. Maybe, us as Americans, we love our alma maters. So if they go to, graduated from a big college, then I might actually, take other people who meet that criteria that graduated from the same college. It gives them a talking point.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. How about, I certainly business owners might be a niche, right? But I would treat that more like a target market.
Yeah, I'd say that's more of a demographic. A niche, as far as a business owner, would be more so like maybe medical practice business owners who own a medical practice, because there's different, pain points that they may have that a blue collar industry may not.
I completely agree. And that's about speaking personally.
Yes.
Right. It also allows, and I'm sure medical is the same, though I don't know the ins and outs of the medical community well. It's not, it's not where I'm at necessarily, but like in manufacturing, right? Great manufacturing associations to join and start to add to that community that we're talking about, right?
And join groups, that's another big key factor that we do, join groups, not group. You can join groups that, are part of the industry that you are working in, but it's more so building the community of common interests. So I always use this example, like in my onboardings and stuff, is, if you like to fly kites on Saturdays, I want to know, because I'm going to make sure we're joining groups, because there's other people out there that may enjoy that same thing. So that gives you, again, another talking point, another commonality.
So not necessarily just that professional channel.
Correct. Your personal interests, if you're big into maybe the chamber, or, you enjoy fishing or boating or skiing per se. There's so many groups across LinkedIn that you can join and it's just common interest groups to kind of associate and network through.
Here's a great one. And if Judd's watching, we'll pick on Judd for a little bit. Our buddy Judd is up in Michigan. Love him, great client, enjoy working with him. He's successful. He's fun to be around. Judd's a mountain biker, right?
Yeah.
And so he's on Strava, which I know the Strava app certainly applies to others outside of mountain biking, but there is a community on Strava. Yes. Now, Judd's near Detroit, right? So Judd services a lot of automotive executives. That's where he focuses a lot of his attention. But all those automotive executives that are also mountain bikers are leveraging Strava. So it gives Judd an opportunity to reach out to those folks on something other than financial services to build that trust and relationship. I love to golf. 18 birdies, right?
Ring.
18 birdies is an incredible app, right? That you can connect with local people who also golf at the courses you golf at, right? So
I enjoy Bill's Mafia. I will be joining those groups because us Bills, Bill's gotta stick together.
Yeah, I brought that out because I knew Bill.
It's a common interest, it gives you something to kind of josh with each other back and forth, oh, hey, did you see the game per se? Or maybe you like to RV, like last year when you went cross country, same thing. Yeah. Certainly there was commonality there too. And the personal story, because that's what's going to make people relate to you, and it's going to resonate with them on a human level. I'm more likely to sign up with you, Charlie, because, you're a Packers fan, and, even though I'm a Bills Mafia fan, I enjoy the Packers. So, it's something that we can associate with each other. And I've already you've already kind of broken down that wall.
Yeah. Yeah, right. It's a conversation.
Yes.
The conversation and the trust is built around something other than, do you have a financial advisor?
Yes,
Yeah.
or yes.
And here's what, so I got stories. I think that the old sales training is all about numbers, and it's still about numbers. But old sales training is, if you ask 1,000 people, you're going to get one. Well, I'll tell you what, Mindy, I have come into situations both on LinkedIn, and I won't bring up any names or any firm names because there's a commonality there, but also we were switching offices, I think, before you joined the team.
Yeah.
And,
you guys
and
just switched offices.
We were going, a block down the road, right? I mean, we weren't moving far. So I was walking out with an armful of stuff, just walking some stuff over one day. And one of the guys from the building that we were in was standing with a guy I didn't know. I exchanged niceties with the guy I knew, probably said hi to the other guy too. The dude that I didn't know didn't say his name and nothing. He just said, "Do you have life insurance?" Nothing.
Oh my God.
Nothing. Like, someone told him once upon a time that if you ask enough people, someone will say yes. So he checked me off as one of those people. I don't think I count as one of those people.
He's not wrong, but at the same time, it's a little.
Listen, how about the LinkedIn, connect and pitch strategies? Like, I won't name a firm, and it happens across firms, but there's one firm in particular that when I connect with one of their advisors, the reply is, "Charlie, do you have a financial advisor?"
I mean, it's right straight to the jugular, and it turns you off as a person.
Totally.
Instantly, I'm like, I just connected with you. Like, really?
Yeah,
it's like a used car salesman approach.
I would think that I would hope that they were learning more about people before they said, "Do you need
or at least say hi?"
So it is about really building community around commonality, because there's something else to build trust around.
Right.
Now, up till a couple of years ago, I'd have said LinkedIn Sales Navigator is the single best tool I've ever used for sales.
Okay.
I think now it's the second best tool I've ever used for sales.
What do you think is the first?
Well, SharpSpring, but not specifically SharpSpring, just an advanced CRM tool. And we'll talk a little bit about that, but I'm kind of segueing into Sales Navigator here.
I was going to say, because I would still say that Sales Navigator would have to be number one. I have yet to come across another platform that has the search capabilities that Sales Navigator does on a professional level. Like, you can, you can target people on Facebook and stuff like that. Sure. We're talking about a professional network.
Well, and the ability to not just target people, but actually learn something about them, right, and build some relationship there.
Yeah.
Right. So, listen, I know we kind of prepared some things, and this is the first time you and I tested a little bit. This is our first time using StreamYard. So, again, anybody who's watching, bear with us, please.
Right. Bear with him. He's controlling the thing, not me.
No, you have capability to share your screen?
Oh, I do, actually.
Yeah. So
I
why don't we dive into that? I mean, and as you're pulling it up, I mean, there's a lot of ways to build community. It's not just Sales Navigator.
Yeah.
Right. Again, we talked about if you're servicing manufacturing businesses, for example, we're in Volusia County, Florida. The rest of Mindy and I are here, and my wife Carmen, but the rest of the team scattered a little bit. The Volusia Manufacturers Association is a wonderful association for building community within manufacturers. We were very active in our local chamber for a long time. Again, a great place to build community. Personal networking certainly is part of that. Educational events, when you've got somebody that signs up for a seminar or a webinar, great way to start building familiarity and community there as well. There's my point being, there are ways outside of LinkedIn Sales Navigator to build community, but for my money, sales, and that money being $99 a month for that piece of software, there is no better place to meet people, start conversation again, refrain from trying to sell because you're going to turn people off immediately. You've got to get good at nurturing a relationship, and that's
like a friend. It's not as threatening either. Listen, me as an introvert, as much as I may seem like an extrovert through Zoom, I'm not. So I'm not somebody that I can walk into a networking event and just immediately walk up and start talking to people.
Right.
you know, and it makes it a little easier, in my opinion, to be able to grow that community virtually, you know, because I can make a great connection through Zoom, but I don't necessarily want to meet people and in person, you know, so it just, I feel it should make it a little easier for people, at least for people like me, to find that audience. Where would you even start? Do you go down to your local chamber and then just, you know, sit there on Wednesdays for chamber events and kind of mingle? And, you know, it's uneasy for some people. This is easier. You go on to Sales Navigator, you can find the people you're looking for, and then you just communicate and chat, you know?
Why don't you share Sales Navigator and we'll see your brilliant. You can't. I can see you're looking at Sales Navigator. You don't see I'm pointing my big foam finger.
I see you pointing your finger in the background. I'm just trying to find how to do this thing. All right. Can you see what I'm seeing now?
Yeah, I see it just fine. So if there's any, you know, if there's any comments from anybody else, there's any issue, just let us know.
Yeah.
So go through, a few things, Mindy. I mean, I know that you kind of prepped some, you know, highlight stuff, 3 or 4 different things that you can do with Sales Navigator. Obviously, this thing goes much, much deeper. Brief introduction before you dive in. Sales Navigator is a query tool.
Yes.
It's a query tool that allows you to find the profiles on LinkedIn that associate with the people you want to find. Now, there's other query tools out there, right? A lot of people, Zoom Info, Discovery Data. Now, the difference is you can get a big database out of Zoom Info, but that's not doing anything to help you build relationship. All it is information, right? So while that's good stuff, and that's, you know, if that's important, certainly don't send cold emails into it and stuff. You kind of alienate things quickly. But I love Sales Navigator, as we were talking about, just for the ability to build relationship, not just find people.
Correct. So one of my favorite things, so there's so many multitude of things that I can show you about this little add-on that you can get for LinkedIn. But at the same time, I have a couple favorites because I've been using it for quite a few years now. So I'm going to bring up just social advisors just for our company profile, because this will give you an idea of what I'm talking about. With Sales Navigator, you can actually, so I noticed I hit the little star button here. When I go to my home page, now social advisors is going to come up in my feed because I'm following this page. It'll give me insights. You know, I can view the decision makers at the company, which, haha, I'm above you. So
accurately so.
Right. Just showing, you know, who the people are that are able to make decisions, because 9 times out of 10, when I get an advisor that comes to me and says, hey, you know, I want the decision makers, Mindy, I want the C-suite level and above, you know, those president, vice president, things along those lines, Sales Navigator gives you that capability. So, you know, I can see Charlie here, you know, I've got Lindsay, and it'll also give you a little more insight as well when you look at the company. So like if I go to the company profile, I can see that one person has actually shared my alumni. So we were going back to that whole thing of, hey, you know, we both, oh wait, that's because I'm in your profile. It's like, why do I have an alumni, but it's Charlie? Yeah. So, you know, people who went to the same school as me per se, that's again, a commonality. You can see, you know, how many connections that you would have that are shared with them. If they're already following your company, one of my best things is if they've already posted on LinkedIn, because that means that they're active. So it has the capability to find people who have shared experiences with you. And if they have posted in the last 30 days, they're obviously active. I'm going to do a little saved search here. So let's bring this up. All right. So we are going to do a new one. Excuse me. Give me one second. So let's say that I want to go and do second degree connections. And I want to throw in some group members, because I'm going to put in a group here of snowboarding, because you like snowboarding.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's say, yeah. So I want snowboarding professionals, and I can take and put in only in the United States with my group members. I can even say how long I want them to have been in the industry. Let's say 10 years. I want them to be active on LinkedIn. So we're going to put in posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. And I want them to have been at their company for at least 6 years. And then let's put in seniority level.
We're pretty narrow there already on that search, but.
Oh, we are. Well, let's see here. So now this person hits my demographic because they're part of that snowboarding group.
Yeah.
So then I can save these people to a list. And I'm just going to name this demo list. So now if I want to keep track of Patrick per se, I'm going to go up here to my leads lists. And here's my demo list. And now I am tracking Patrick. I can add notes. So let's say that, you know, reached out Tuesday and then put the date or something. And then I can save it. So you can also keep it as maybe a mini little CRM. People who are just starting out, don't have, you know, a contact manager. I can see when the last outreach was. Let's say I've sent him a message already. That message would show up here.
Yeah. One of the cool things also is anytime Patrick posts or shows up in the in the news or something along those lines, gets recognition, has a job change, there's a notification that you're sent because you're following them as a lead.
Correct.
Right. Talk about one of the things I love about Sales Navigator versus LinkedIn is LinkedIn decides in their algorithm the type of content you want to see.
Yes.
Right. Sales Navigator just shows you content by companies and people you save as leads. So now you've got excuses and reasons to start a conversation.
Right.
Right. So it prompts you to be able to create that excuse or that commonality that starts the conversation. I love it.
Yes. Yeah.
I love it.
And for example, most advisors that come to me typically want to know who's changed jobs, maybe, because that's, you know, kind of money in motion.
Yeah. Right.
You know,
love that.
right at first. So I can do a search criteria for people who have actually changed jobs in the last 90 days.
Yeah. Awesome.
So that's an immediate need, something right away that people are looking for assistance with. And then you can follow them or send direct outreach to them privately.
Yep.
Same thing with accounts. Let's say, you know, you're wondering if, let's see, give me a name of somebody, Charlie.
What are you looking for?
Almost like they're doing like mass hiring or mass layoffs.
Oh, are you looking for a business?
Yes.
Oh gosh. I mean, you know, mass layoffs. I would think probably real estate right now.
I was thinking, remember when the airlines were doing it?
Yeah. 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 Certainly we targeted some campaigns towards airline employees that were being laid off. You know, I mean, why am I drawing a blank? But
I know, I was too.
What's with big? I'm thinking big defense.
Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, I don't know why it took
me
so long.
We did some of those campaigns too. Yeah, you're right. Yep. So, and that one was very successful because there was a big transition they were going through. So, like Lockheed Martin, for example, I can actually search by the company. I can save it, and then it'll also give me tiered level employees that I can actually save to my leads. I can also get insights. This is the cool part. So let's say that, you know, recently they have been hiring. You can actually see their trend over the last 12 months. If they have any job openings, where are they hiring for? I can put in finance and business development. Let's see that and add additional. It just gives you a plethora of information that way you can actually make an educated decision. You're not throwing spaghetti at a wall, seeing what sticks. You can make an educated decision on who you want to target, where, when, why, and how. Yep. You can view all the employees. So now it's going to pop me right into a saved search. And these are anybody who works for Lockheed Martin that is on LinkedIn. Then I can actually further narrow my search. Let's say I want second-degree connections. And I only want them in Florida because that's where we are. So let's put Florida.
So much capability.
It really is. I mean, you can get very narrow, you can get broad. It's just, it gives you the capability to be able to make an educated decision.
Yeah. So we've in our CRM, and when I say CRM, I'm not necessarily talking about Redtail. We use a pretty comprehensive marketing capable CRM. In fact, a lot of times I refer to it as the LMS, the lead management system, because if I say CRM, it gets equated to a Redtail or a Wealthbox or something like that. It's anyway, they're not even really comparable. So we've got like 32,000 opt-in email addresses, opt-in contacts in SharpSpring.
Mm-hmm.
We talked a little while ago about there's 687,000 financial advisors in this country. That's FINRA's number, not mine.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 400,000 practicing. When we do outreach, right? Whether that's, we got a podcast rolling out, right? So whether we're looking for podcast guests, certainly business development as well, email marketing or communication, targeting ads, just tracking, right? We're looking at those 32,000 opt-ins in SharpSpring instead of looking at the 400,000 practicing advisors in the country,
Mm-hmm.
right? We don't market to people we don't know.
Right. Or don't know us.
Don't know us, right? I think depending on the research you follow, consumers see between 6,000 and 10,000 ad impressions every single day. Trying to cut through that noise with strangers is really difficult. Now, you only get to a database of 32,000 people if you're consistent, right? So, building the right community pays dividends for the duration of the career, right? We started building that database 9 years ago. 9 years later, we got 32,000 contacts in that database, right? Those are people that, those are partners. Those are, the people we've done guest webinars with. Those are clients. Those are future clients. Building that community consistently makes sure that, as we said earlier, you're speaking to tens of thousands of people with the same effort as you would be speaking to 10 people.
Yeah.
Right. So there is a consistency play here. We typically recommend in 10 minutes a day, you can reach out to 15 people that fit that niche, right? That fit that target, whether that target's a professional niche or you want to connect with people around a recreational commonality or a faith-based commonality or your alma mater.
Mm-hmm.
Had a conversation with a gentleman, retired military, who is now an advisor, second career. He's building a hell of a community around the military school that he went to. Right? It's only 15,000 graduates from that school. So they're all embracing of each other for sure.
And it's a niche because you can speak directly to them.
They have that commonality. It's not all about, do you have a financial advisor?
It's not always about you.
Yeah.
Make it about them.
Yeah. Building relationship and trust first.
Yes.
Now, as you build out that community, content marketing becomes a really, really, really important. Yes. And I'm not, first off, if there's folks watching who are sharing the canned content, pre-approved content from the firm or, third-party content from a vendor, I think we've gotten to a point now where that's actually hurting brands. I think that the community you build, and because you see the numbers on LinkedIn, how limited the reach is for that type of content. Right. The community you build recognizes when you share an article from LPL, nobody cares about the academic charts and things in that. Right. Content marketing is about building relationship, not demonstrating how smart you are.
And telling your story. I mean,
it's
what's going to make you stand out from every other advisor. If everybody's sharing the same stuff, you are drowning in a sea of nothingness.
Yep. And the regulators like it that way, but it's bad for advisors.
Yes.
Right. So get personal with your content. Tell a personal story. If you want to know how to get started with that, check out Simon Sinek's Start With Why. It is a great guide for, how to put content around your why. Now, 2% of the LinkedIn network shares content consistently. Right. So there's a big opportunity there. There's 3 billion views of content in North America every single week. There's a big opportunity there. You can check out socialpostparty.com. That's a tool that helps get your content in front of a huge audience. I don't want to turn this into a sales event, but it's a piece of software that we are partnered on with 5 other agencies. It's awesome. It's low, it's low commitment. It will grow your exposure. We did a case study recently on average of 850%. Will grow your engagement on average of 850%. It's pretty good. So, but content marketing becomes really important. But sharing that canned content is seen as lazy now. I think folks that are sharing that canned, pre-approved, firm content actually hurt their brand at this point. Right? I mean,
yeah, I feel.
I mean, if all you're doing is checking a box and you're not actually present, that's not leaving the right impression with this community you're building.
Yep.
So content marketing is a really important part of it. So first thing is try to add 10 people to your network every day. Second thing is get consistent with the content you share, right? Whether you're building it yourself, you're sourcing that to a company like Social Advisors, and there's plenty of others out there. We think you should go with us, but there's plenty of others out there. But I really would I would really say stop sharing that pre-approved and canned, third-party vendor content. It hurts your brand as it sits today. Now, Mindy, talk about, educational events, right? I want to talk about how you measure your community. And I want to talk about 2 things in specifically before we shut down our broadcast here. Educational events. LinkedIn events has changed our world.
Oh my gosh. And it's come leaps and bounds. It is a completely different ballgame now.
Before LinkedIn events, if I did a webinar, I might get 20 or 25 registrations. And
I don't even know if we made it to that. Yeah.
It was all email.
Yeah.
It was all email and advertising, not that we threw a lot of money at ads on it. Now, if we do a webinar, we might get 200, 250 registrations.
Yeah, we're consistent now. I'd say about 2 to 250 each time. And, on average, about 30 to 40% that show up and stay the whole event.
Yeah. 100 people is about average with the number of events. And, a lot of that depends on who our guest is. We do a lot of guest webinars.
Right. Yeah.
But even our buddy Ryland was on with us last month, and Ryland's got a brand new company. Like, he hasn't built a brand yet. He's really working on it. We had 95 registrations and like 42 people or something showed up for that event. That's pretty good for not having a great topic. He's got a great business, but he didn't have any brand notoriety. So anyway, that was pretty good. So LinkedIn events, here's what I like about webinars. And you could actually, let me shut up for a second. It's really hard for me to do. I know you know that. But
sorry.
I mean, it is. It's okay. We got to know our shortcomings, right? Talk about LinkedIn events and what makes it, such a spectacular option for marketing webinars and seminars.
Because it gives you so LinkedIn gives you the capability to have individuals, prospects, whomever, actually opt in to receive further communication from you through the event. So when they register for this event, they just fill out a little LinkedIn form, click one little button, and it makes it so seamless and easy for them. So after the event, you export, your data, and then you have started building your community and your network. And now you're going to nurture them at that point. So it wasn't that way before. But now with LinkedIn, company pages and event marketing and stuff, you can share, you can cross platform share. So you can even share it on Facebook and, Twitter. And so it's really revolutionized LinkedIn for us alone. I mean, it's.
Yeah. And here's what I love about that, right? If you were to run LinkedIn events, which is, that doesn't cost you anything. As a LinkedIn subscriber with a company page, you can run a LinkedIn event. And you might get 100 signups. That means you've got unless someone explicitly says, do not use my email address, you've got 100 email addresses that now go into whatever CRM you use. If you're sending emails out of MailChimp, whatever you're using, you've just accumulated 100 email addresses that come from people that you specifically invited to your event. So they're the right people, right?
Right.
If you ran ads on Facebook, those 100 email addresses would cost you somewhere between $400 and say $600 or $700
all day long.
$4 to $6 an email address.
Yep.
Right. That costs you nothing but a little bit of your time, and your time is valuable, but costs you nothing but a little bit of time to send the invites out to your network on LinkedIn.
And you're building your network. You're establishing authority because you're what's the word I'm trying to look for? It's
thought leadership, authority branding. Yeah.
Authority branding. You're educating the audience that you want to be in front of anyway.
And here's what I'm glad you brought up education, because from the perspective of the webinar presenter and attendee, they're gaining education. You're providing education.
Correct.
From our perspective as marketers and business developers, it's a measuring tool.
Yes.
Right. It's about understanding, okay, so I'm nurturing 1,000 people. I sent 1,000 invites out. Here's the 40 that showed up for my webinar. Those 40 trust you. They're paying attention to you. They're listening to what you have to say on a specific topic, and they are deserving of your direct outreach. We talk about leads. I almost don't like the word lead, right? It almost feels like we're doing something, creating it almost does, right?
Yeah.
These are just people who have been paying attention to you for 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years, and have a need around what you're educating. Right. And all sales boil down to timings and needs. So that's the difficult part. If you're building a community of, 50 people a month, 200 people a month, the times, the needs and timing have to line up. And that's any purchasing decision, right? I don't care if
you're buying a house or you're buying a car or whatever. Yeah.
Gas
timing is everything.
Gallon of gas, gallon of milk, whatever that might be. It's needs and timing for every purchasing decision. Of course, people make frivolous decisions, but not with a financial advisor.
No.
Right. Not on who they're working with in that regard. The webinar then becomes the opportunity to find out who's in that space, right? For whom
establish yourself as a trusted source, for information. Because if you're proving what you can do and solving their problems, why wouldn't I come back and listen to you again or reach out?
Well, but I love that those 40 the people that show up, they obviously have a need. That's
yes,
right.
Absolutely too. Yeah.
The other thing that we spend a lot of time doing is lead scoring. Right. So, and I'll try to shut up for a second, let you talk about lead scoring a little bit.
Oh, well, what do you want to know about it?
Well, for example, when we're doing lead scoring, the first step is understanding where someone could touch you in digital space. Like, what are they interacting with? Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole purpose of the lead scoring. So, let's say you host a webinar, you're posting social media content across a bunch of different platforms. Lead scoring comes into play where you want to know who is interacting with whatever you're putting out, no matter what platform, or device you're using. You just want to make sure you're collecting the data so that at the end of the day, numbers don't lie. Yeah. The LMS will actually show you who it is that is showing the most interest at each time of the year. Because obviously there's a time and season for everything, but lead scoring is very important. They get points basically if let's say they like and comment on a post, and, then they go and sign up for a webinar event, or they click something in your email. All of those things work together, and they're giving that individual prospect points. And then once they've reached a certain point level, they're obviously warmed up and they've shown enough interest. It's time for an outreach. And I don't feel it's cold call outreach at that point. They may never have spoken to you, but they're fully aware of who you are.
Yeah. So that's all it is, right? Is as we're preaching community. And as you're building a community like ours of about 30,000 advisors, right? There's no way for us, unless there's a direct outreach to us, there's no way for us to know who in that community is prime for our follow-up.
Right.
Right. So to webinars, we're talking about scoring that community, right? Measuring who's ready, webinars and lead scoring. So there's a lot of great tools out there. Some better.
I call it moneyballing it.
Moneyballing it, right? Getting the data. Yeah, getting the data. Right?
I'm a data queen. I love it.
Yeah, I think our buddy Paul coined that for us, right?
I'm gonna moneyball it.
Yep. So we're moneyballing it, right? It's about accumulating the data around that community. So you know exactly who it is that you should reach out to at exactly that time. So if they hit the homepage of your website and then they watch a key YouTube video and then they interact with your social content and then they open a couple of emails and click on some links, every action they take is adding points to their cumulative, so that if you're connecting with 200 people a month, maybe there's 5 people in there that are really, really keyed into what you're talking about.
Right.
By lead scoring, it denotes exactly who those people are.
And what they're showing interest in, so that you have a talking point when you do reach out. You already know what they've done. You don't have to bring it up to them, but you already know what they're showing interest in, so you can figure out what their questions or reservations are, so that you can address those, because people love people who solve problems. Please call me and solve my problem. Solve my problem.
Right, exactly. I have needs. So listen, this is awesome. And again, we're testing new technology, and so maybe a little clunky for the first time, but ittle go better. It actually worked pretty good.
I would say it didn't go too bad. Not as bad
good,
as
better than I expected.
Session for 45 minutes, but
no one got to see that part of it, right? Just trying to figure out the audio.
Well, some people on Facebook did. They were laughing.
That's true. Soraya laughing at us.
Oh yeah.
That's all right. That's all right. We got to learn too. So listen, really, whether you're using a service like Social Advisors provides, or you're working manually to do it, building community around your business is essential for success today. And the funny thing is, the work you do today is likely to, it's going to pay off for the duration of your career. I had a conversation with a gentleman named Patrick last week. Patrick said when he booked with me, "I've been following you for years." I've never met Patrick. We call that a lurker, right? Patrick, you're a lurker. Right? "I've been following you for years. I like your approach. Can we talk?" I don't know Patrick. I'm sure he's in our CRM, but he's one of 30,000 people in there. Right. So we're not paying specific attention to Patrick.
But if we weren't putting our message out there either, in far as educating our audience, putting out content and being consistent, Patrick never would have reached out.
That's exactly right.
Consistency is key.
Consistency is key. So I hope, Mindy, first off, we did our first live broadcast on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube today, using StreamYard for the first time. So that was all successful. Looks like people are the number of viewers has gone up and down since we started. So nice to see people tuning in.
Soon I'll be famous.
Yeah, soon you'll be famous. We established who our favorite football teams are.
Oh my God. Yes. No.
Yeah. Bill's Mafia. Yeah, you got the Mafia back there. That's cool. That's right. And hopefully we've given some value around the use of LinkedIn Sales Navigator, different ideas and tips and tactics for growing a good network and a good community. But most importantly, if you're putting that effort in up front, you've got to be able to measure on the back end. And you do that with educational events, who's showing up, which means who's ready for follow-up. And if you've got a good marketing capable CRM, again, that's not necessarily Redtail and Wealthbox. Those are good platforms. They're priced right for what they do. But Salesforce with Pardot or Pardot, expensive, good automation platform. HubSpot institutional, again, pretty expensive, not as expensive as the first one I mentioned, but a really good automation platform that has a great lead scoring capability. We love SharpSpring. Half the price of HubSpot, all the capability. Love SharpSpring, part of Constant Contact now. So they got deeper pockets, which is cool to see. But yeah, I don't know.
To go big up front either. And I want advisors to know that, there's a lot out there that are starting small. Money's an issue. So, start small, use a Constant Contact, but make sure you are using and creating awareness and following up with people, because, it has basic capabilities and you can at least start there.
Yeah. And then grow into it. So
yeah.
You got any parting words? I'm done.
I was going to say deuces them out. I got to get back to work and go help.
That's eloquent. So here's the deal. Tuesdays at 2. Check us out every Tuesday, 2:00 Eastern time. We're going to bring different marketing, business development topics. I don't know.
Maybe we'll have a guest speaker or two.
Yep. We'll have a guest speaker once a month. We'll bring a guest in this month on the 26th. is Marie Swift with Impact Communications. I am thrilled to be joined by Marie.
Awesome. Yes.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one. So we're talking about really what's working in marketing. Marie, of course, has a wonderful background in PR. So I'm sure that we'll focus a lot on how PR is impacting growth and marketing today. So
there's so many new trends and stuff. That's one thing about this industry. It's constantly evolving.
Yeah, so. makes it fun. So
it's awesome.
Mindy, thanks. I'm going to get back to work too. And we'll catch you all next Tuesday at 2.
Sounds good.
Later.